I'm going to do one of the most advanced drawings that you probably have ever seen. I'm going to shove that guy right over like that. And what are we seeing on there? The half of the keyboard? I don't want that. Right about there. That looks like we got most of it on there. No talking, absolutely no talking. None. Did I for sure press the start button? Yes, I did. So check it out. When I do this, I'm going to do the wall, and it has to be somewhat to scale, okay? We're going to do one of the most advanced drawings that you have ever done in my class, which it is, you know, there is the turkey drawing, which is not the most advanced drawing. The one that you are doing is the wall drawing, and we're going to do it in isometric, okay? If you go, I don't really get how to do it in isometric, you could still do it regular paper, but I would recommend at least trying it in isometric, okay? So if I try it in isometric, I have my one wall going this direction. This is kind of like how you see it on 514 here. Then I have one of them going up this direction and the other one going the opposite direction. Every stud, in real life, a stud is 24 inches apart, okay? So, if it's a non-load bearing wall, it's 24 inches apart. If it is a load bearing wall, they're 16 inches apart, okay? So, if you understand the scale thing pretty good, you can take the architect scale, and a good one to use is 3/4 of an inch equals a foot. If you don't understand the architect scale good, you could just use a regular ruler and just go, I'm going to go about every inch, okay? So you just go up and go, every inch I'm going to have a stud, okay? And now, I'll show you the difference here. If I'm doing this actually to scale, the scale, a pretty good scale for this one is 3/4 of an inch equals a foot. So I flip the scale over, 3/4 of an inch equals a foot, and every 2 feet I could do a stud. So that would be more accurate that way. If I wanted to get really accurate, I could go I could go every 16 inches. But I'm just going here 2 feet. So I go to 7, I go to 5, I go to 3, I go to 1. The last one I'll make actually 16 inches, which would be 1 foot to there, and then that is 1.5 feet, okay? So that is 1 foot, 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, 4 inches. That is right on 16 inches. If I were doing it to scale, and I were going to make them 8 inches long, okay, the studs, I would go up to the 8 inches here and say that would bring me right about to here, okay? Now, the studs 16 inch apart, so I'm going to do the top plate now, okay? Top plate's coming up here like so. I want to make sure T-square's tight on the edge of the desk, and that's not tight, so that's why that line was not going up completely straight. Still not. Oh, there it was. It was catching on something. There, now we're good. So I got on every one of these. You don't have to measure the distance between on the 2 lines. You know, just put 2 lines pretty close together. And technically, on studs, like I said, they'd be 16 inches on a non-load bearing wall. Okay, so this top part is called the top plate. How does that thing get off there again? Okay, top plate here. And I can just project that guy over to get it exactly where I want it. Okay, so this is called the top plate. And on the top plate, you actually have a double top plate, but you don't put the double top plate on until you're connecting the walls. Okay, and I'll show you what I mean by that here in just a second. We have this sample wall here. You have to put two walls together to nail them together. There's different types of corners you can do to nail the corners together. Probably the most common is called a California corner, where you take and you have the corner of the wall, and this one is done up with like some sheetrock and stuff, and you put another stud going 90 degrees or perpendicular to that one to where you can nail the other wall to it. And I'll show you what I mean by that in just a second. So you have this stud right here going that direction. Now, almost done, okay? Now I'm going to make this wall, this side over here going up, this direction, and we have a top plate, and then we're gonna have a double top plate, which I'll show you in just a minute, okay? So we have one stud here going right up. I don't have much of a work surface here, so I'm just doing this on a little small board. It's much easier if you have your whole desk area. You know what I should have done? Probably on the last one, I will make a door, okay? Because I really should show you how to frame up a door as well. That one is still off just a little bit. I don't know why, but I'm gonna just go with it. Thank you for the people that are paying attention. The ones that are not paying attention, gonna get detention, of course. I might run out of room on this, but that's okay. Now, the last one I'm going to make I'm gonna make into a doorway. So that way I can just show you a little bit about when you have a doorway on here. Above a door, this whole area up here is called the header. Okay, above windows and doors, you have a header here. And the reason it's important to know what a header is whenever you have a header, you have to have a trimmer stud holding up the weight of that header. Because there's no stud, remember we left this stud off right here, so there's no weight holding that guy up. So you have a regular stud, and then you have a header and a trimmer stud, okay? So as a general rule on this header, however big the span is in feet, that is how big you want the header to be in inches. So if it's a 4-inch opening, okay, or if it's a 4-foot opening, you could get by with a 2x4 there. If it's a 6-foot opening, you'd want a board there on end called a 2x6. Okay, I'm missing one board on here. So when I have this top plate and bottom plate on here, one of these comes over this direction here. Then we have something called a double top plate on there that overlaps onto the other one to give it some strength and support there. So that would be a double top plate. Okay? And then also the one last thing in the corner here, if I have a stud going this direction, I'm gonna have another one that I turn sideways here that is for the California corner, and it is a stud turned 90 degrees so that you can shoot your nails into there from there and nail it through into the other one without too much difficulty. Otherwise, you'd be trying to go through the entire stud. So sometimes people take a 2x4 like that, go 90 degrees and do the California corner here, okay? So that is about it. The only other thing I didn't do is finish my bottom plate. The bottom plate here is also called a sole plate, okay? Sole plate or bottom plate. And if you struggle too much with doing it in isometric like that at an angle, you could do it just with a regular one. I guess I was off just a little bit on my drawing, but that's okay. We're gonna stop right there at 10